Vic, it is good to see you, and it is awesome that we can connect all the way across the world, man. It is so freaking awesome. We've got some good people in the chat. Good Steve, thank you so much. Very helpful to know that it sounds good. Yeah, you do always sound amazing, Hectic. I don't think anybody can go against that comment.
I appreciate it. And big love to everyone in the chat. I appreciate you guys being here. And Dean, thank you for your time and having me on today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it. I really am. I mean, this has been what I've been really looking forward to because, I just think it is so wild that we're talking. It's 10 o'clock at night here on Wednesday. It's noon there in Sydney, Australia. And I was actually laughing. I was talking to a couple of people online and I was showing, I was like, hey, like I feel like I need to actually show people like, how far away we are from each other. I mean, it is unbelievably how far it is. So for those of you that are in the chat that may not be aware, our good friend Hectic is in Sydney, Australia. You can see him right here on this red dot in the map. We are way up here in the in the United States. And I actually looked it up, Hectic. You're going to laugh at me. So it's 9,286 miles between us right now as the crow flies. So it would take me or for those who want to know kilometers, 14,944 kilometers. But it would take me 23 hours to hop on a plane to get to you, my friend. So it's a long way.
Well, if you're willing to do that haul, mate, you're more than welcome here. And it's such a beautiful thing. It really puts it into perspective. Sure, we've got these great distances between us, but we're brought together with fragrance, with the love and the passion of fragrance. And it just kind of shows that it's boundless, no pun intended. It's boundless, across the waters, passion will, always meet.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so great. And that's what I love about the community. And so let's go ahead and hop into it, man, because I know that you're so great that you're joining us. I know you're on your lunch break and you're in the middle of the workday over there. So let's hop into it. So one of the things that really well, when I started doing some research, you have one of the most recognizable voices in fragrance content. And I love that about you. And so I've always wondered, like, when you were growing up, have people always commented on your voice and kind of that strong, powerful voice that you've had? Has that always been a part of kind of what you do? I kind of want to start there with the conversation.
I wish you could have heard me in primary school. I sounded like I was 40 years old. So it was definitely, I'd say, a part of, my character growing up. It was always something that I was never really conscious of until people really started to call it out. And, continually throughout high school, mainly, you should get into voice acting. You should get into voice acting. And, I used to do a bit of side hustling where I used to record voicemails for people. So like, hey, can you leave a message at the tone or something like that? So yeah, it's always been with me, of course. And only when I've really started delving into TikTok is when it really started to, gain some traction.
And it's amazing when you think about that because I was like, this guy's had to do radio, voice acting, podcasting. He's had to do some of this before the fragrance content. So I was kind of curious. I was kind of wanting to know about that. But for those of you that may not know kind of about you and kind of where you grew up and a little bit about your history, can you give us a little bit of an overview about kind of, where you grew up? Did you grow up in Sydney? And tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Sydney, Australia, in a little suburb called Mount Druitt, Mountie County. And it was an interesting upbringing. I guess you'd class it as, a little bit challenging, but it built character. That's for sure. My family, originated from Jordan and Palestine and migrated to Australia. And then 33 years later, here I am. True blue with a majority of my family actually being in the United States, I've had the opportunity to meet them and kind of understand a little bit more about my family and heritage and grew up with that side, having support of the US family and the close immediate family that we have here in Sydney, Australia. So born and raised here, absolutely love it and still looking to venture out into the States.
Oh, that's awesome. So I was going to ask you if you'd been here yet, if you've been to the U.S. So we got to get you, we got to get you over here, and we got to get over there to see you sometime soon.
16 years ago. 16 years ago, I stepped foot into Michigan, went to Chicago, Baltimore, you name it, and brought my fragrances alongside with me there, which was really, really cool. And I will be returning on the 4th of June, I believe. I'm going to be in Michigan.
That is awesome. And I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, if I could tell you where to go, like the one place you should visit in the United States, I'm not sure Michigan would make the top 50 of the the first places to go. So you must have family there, or somebody that's close to that area.
Yeah, absolutely. All the family. I'm going for a wedding actually, and the wedding will be in Michigan. Um, and I should have an opportunity to see some of the other places, more so Chicago, etc. But we'll
Yeah,
see how we go.
I mean, it is. I mean, I will tell you, hectic. I actually vacation in Michigan during that time of the year, so I mean, I'm in Indiana, which is one state below Michigan, and it is beautiful that time of year. So we joke on it a little bit because of the winter, but it is very beautiful there in the summertime. So I definitely love that. So you got to tell us, man, what's life like in Sydney? What do people outside of Australia, maybe completely misunderstand about it? I think some people have these things where they think that they might know kind of how life is there. What would you say to those that have preconceived notions about it?
I'd say paint your own picture. If you can, visit it. It's a completely different perspective from what you might see online, with Bondi Beach, the blue skies, the blue water, the wonderful lifestyle. That's pretty much everywhere. But in Australia itself, we are laid back. We've got a beautiful community, but it is a small community at that. So there is a lot of mateship and camaraderie, which really builds a lot of the social foundations of Australia. I think it's laid back in the right, times to be, and quite relentless when it's needed. So Aussies in the Aussie lifestyle, sure, we're Aussie battlers, but we are also keen to kick back, if you know what I mean.
No, I definitely know what you mean. No, that's complete. I mean, that's awesome. I love that. Thanks now. Let's get into some fragrance talk a little bit. So that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk a little bit about too. Is comparing. I was so interested in this question about the United States fragrance scene versus the Australia fragrance scene, and it's crazy because I think we in the U.S. admire a lot of what's happening in Australia. I'm going to name a couple brands, and they're probably going to be the more popular ones. There's probably better ones that you could even tell us about. But obviously, I've got some Goldfield and Banks right here. Close by, which I obviously love, right? So yeah, I mean, you got to have that, right? I mean, so that automatically I think of that. Boo Jeremy is one that for those who like the dupe houses and those that like the clones and some of those other ones, they're doing some amazing work too. So I'm just kind of curious for you to tell us a little bit about the fragrance community there, and then how hard is it for you to get fragrances for the United States, or do you feel like you get everything there that you would get in the U.S. and just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Again, with the fragrance community, it's very small here. I'd say it's maybe 1 to 2% of what you guys might see. It's incredibly small, and intimate, which is beautiful. And a lot of the houses like the Jeremy's, Goldfield and Banks, etc., bring the communities together. We don't have, like the Las Vegas meetups where, there's niche shows. We don't have any designer meetups, what have you. And we're trying to encourage that. Very similar to what you said before. We see a lot of the culture overseas, and we see the meetups, and we see the trades, and we're trying to, do something similar to that and strengthen the fragrance community we have here, because there's a lot of houses that might fly under the radar. The number one, there's a few that I mentioned. You mentioned Big Boy but Jeremy Baby. They're an absolute behemoth. And as well as that, we have Jalu Scents. Now, Jalu is another incredible perfumer here in Australia worth checking out. And the number three would have to be Weigel Perfumes, an independent perfumer in Wollongong. And his taste and his quality are next level. Howdy, thank you very much. So those are some of the incredible houses that Australia has to offer. And I almost see it as a duty to make that word known that Australia has a lot of good smelling fragrances that the world needs to try.
Well, then the other thing that kept coming back to me, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, hey, we're heading into the summertime, right? We got our fresh scents out. We're all excited and happy. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh crap, you guys are on the opposite side. You're getting at your amouages that I see right there. You're getting ready for the colder weather. I don't know the climate in Sydney per se compared to the rest of the country, but yeah, I'm assuming you guys are heading into winter, right? For you guys.
Yeah, very much so. It's a little bit bipolar in regards to, for instance, earlier this morning, we were getting hammered with some rain, but now we've got some beautiful blue skies and it's a little bit warm. But when it comes to fragrance choice, look, I'm one of those people that will wear pretty much any fragrance wherever said, a lot of these ones, for instance, Al Karashi, they're quite heavy with the ouds, and I would wear that appropriately on a warm summer day. But yes, the winter time is creeping up. It is slowly starting to get cooler, and I cannot wait for it because it means we can start rolling a lot heavier.
Well, the funny thing is every time I look at one of your videos, and I actually show, not to show the video yet, but I'm gonna show your page here a little bit. But what cracks me up is that I think that I have not seen a fresh fragrance, I don't think, on your video in a while. I mean, you really like the ouds and those dark fragrances, my friend. Well, actually, I'll take that back. I see an Allure Homme Sport Super Leggera you got there, so that's a little bit of a lighter one. But if you guys are not following this guy right now, you need to pick him up. You need to pick him up. You need to make sure you follow him on all the platforms. Follow Hectic on TikTok. Follow him on the Tube of You. Follow him on all the platforms. He's got them all out there linked. You can pick that up right here. Make sure that you're following him and continue to share out his content. He does a great job. You're really going to enjoy his content. We'll have him talk a little bit more about that. And then some of you that have to go, I know Eli has to run out. Remember, we're recording this, and it's going to be up on it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow, so you'll be able to catch up and see the whole interview. So make sure you keep coming back for that and keep checking that out. You can find that Dina Sense on YouTube. But so yeah, so what's your favorite go-to fragrance this time of year, my friend? What are you teeing up right there in front of you, or what are you going with?
Yeah, a lot of the ones in front of me are the ones that hold a lot of, you know, love. They're somewhat of an extension of myself to a degree. And when we're talking about, you know, seasons and what have you, I'm quite drawn to this house in particular, Abdul Samad Al Karashi. Now, this is a fragrance house that I grew up with. You know, being of Middle Eastern heritage at a young age, my mum would always wear this fragrance, and it's this exact fragrance. So I'm finding myself as I, you know, mature like a fine wine, being drawn to a lot more of these fragrances. So currently we have Karachi Royal, which is a flanker of the original, which is a beautiful red berry, somewhat tart, sweet oud, candied, floral kind of fragrance. This is what I'm wearing a whole lot lately.
That's a beautiful one, and that's what I love about your videos too, is because you expose me to so many things that are not kind of the everyday fragrances that I might be following, and I think that's what's so beautiful about having someone like you, and then I'm sure you probably feel the same way watching some of the United States creators too. There may be some things that you're not aware of, and I think that's what I continue to love about the fragrance community, because I feel like no matter what, I will never master this. You can never master this massive of an industry, and the way that these profiles and these notes and these things change, and you're into something one day and the next day it may be something different. And I think that's one of the beauties about this industry that I don't know if we talk enough about, is how it's never ending in a way. And there's a beauty to that, but also, that creates some challenges too.
Yeah, you almost want everything. It's so interesting. I find that your nose palette will tend to evolve. You know what I mean? You know, considering where I had started from, big on the designers, and now getting up to a lot of quite strong, intimidating, and challenging fragrances, I'm finding that, you know, you can be content with one profile, one scent, and that's your entire world, or your palette then evolves and you start discovering a whole lot more that you never would have considered. You know, Middle Eastern niche, a lot of the heavier animalics, what have you. If you gave me Midia by Louis Vuitton, 3 years ago, I'd say, what is this? Nowadays, I can't stop wearing it. It's a very interesting evolution of taste, and being endless, to your point, is a gift or a curse. You can either delve into that endless possibilities of fragrance profiles, or you can empty your wallet because of the endless fragrance profiles.
That's been the thing that's so fascinating. I watched one of your videos, I think earlier today, and you said, "Hey, I own 40 fragrances, and these are the ones I like to layer the best." And when you said that, my mouth almost hit the table. I'm like, 40 he's either messing with us right now, or does he really have 40 fragrances? I'm like, he's got to be messing with us. He's certainly got more than 40, right?
Uh, I think I've got about 40 plus, maybe. Yeah,
See,
it's nothing crazy.
but I love that. I love that because you're curating, right? Like, you know what you like and you're picking up what you like, but you're not going nuts with it. Like, I cannot tell you how many people are what I would say are fragrance enthusiasts, mild enthusiasts that are just kind of getting into this thing, and they're picking up 100 bottles a month or something, or crazy amounts, and they're kind of building their palate. Some of them are sampling, some of them are not, and it's just, I don't know, it worries me. Like, I really think about this. I really think about, like, when I recommend a fragrance, like, someone is going to see this video, and am I really doing it justice, or am I creating hype that's going to, try to, is going to cause somebody to go out and spend money. I can't make decisions for them on how they spend their money. Hopefully they've got a good understanding of what they like and don't like, and have good judgment on that. But at the end of the day, I really think about that sometimes. Have you ever thought about that as an content creator and influencer?
Very much so. And I done a video recently because I witness a lot of things. I had seen a video recently where someone was talking about someone buying 7 fragrances at once. And please, by all means, if you want to do that, do that. I'm not telling you what to do, but there is just a bit of mindful, reflective thinking from myself where I done a video talking about, don't take your fragrances at face value because they offer a whole lot more than you might expect. Similar to yourself, you grow 1% each day, as does your fragrance. And if you asked me, this is an affordable designer right here. When I first got this compared to now, this has evolved, as did I. You know what I mean? And it means that you need to I always try and share the message of give it a second chance, wear it a whole lot more because you'll find that it's got certain nuances that you might not have recognized. Therefore, you start to appreciate what is in your collection as opposed to what to bring into your collection because it might already offer it than the bottle that you're about to receive in, if that makes
No,
sense.
it makes complete sense, and I've even done that. Like, I've started to look at my collection now and realize the redundancy that's in it, right? And realize the signature profiles. It's funny how things change over time, and how I start decluttering and start looking at other ways to try to help other people kind of get into the fragrance community. But if I was, I would completely be lying if I told you that I wouldn't do things differently had I started today. Like, if I started over today, fragrance collecting, I would not do it the same way that I started, right? And so part of that's developing that taste and that nose, but my buying habits would have looked a little different, I think, over time. So if we're all being honest, I think we can agree to that. But so do have a
I
question
think
about.
we've all thought that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do have a question about your content. So you were talking about your videos, and like I'm kind of curious, like how would you describe your style? Because I think I have a pretty good idea about your style as a content creator, but I kind of want to see what you say about it, or kind of what's the strategy there? Kind of what are you going after with that?
It's so interesting you say that because, you know, every now and again, someone will be like, hey, you're that smells hectic guy. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you're so serious. I'm like, oh, it's so interesting how people perceive me and my content. I've had people say that you're very serious, like chill out a little bit. And I found people said, you're very informative, but the main one is you're very calm. You're very like calming to listen to. And I suppose that wasn't necessarily my angle. I wanted to be a little bit cinematic and fun with the content that I was putting out there. You know, quite naturally, being in the algorithm of TikTok, what have you, you'd see a lot of repetitive content. What works, rinse and repeat, sure. And I wanted to do something a little bit different and just kind of approach fragrances in a more storytelling, descriptive way with the utilization of my voice. In hope that I might be able to best represent a fragrance in its best interest to someone who might not have expected it. And to give you an example, a video that done quite well for me was decision as a person. What kind of person would it be? And I'd use, the fragrance notes as certain opportunities, opening a door for someone and a gust of wind, talking about the freshness, and just kind of giving a alternative explanation and description of the fragrances that might change the way certain people perceive the fragrances.
And I
That
think
was
it
kind of the
I
point.
think it does so well for you because I think that is something that I know a lot of creators I talk to today are trying to get better at, but they struggle sometimes. It's like, how do you describe a fragrance without being the note reader? Where you're just reading notes that really doesn't give you a picture sometimes. And I tell you, it takes practice and it takes time. And I think that a lot of people, are trying to figure that piece out. But I would go back to saying your calming presence, and I think that your steadiness, I think that does really work for you so well because I think in an environment where there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of loud voices and there's a lot of humor all those things are good. They all have their place. I think your content stands out a little bit because it is different. So, and I like the seriousness of it too. I think there are some people out there that do really look at that because let's be honest, a lot of people, I mean, we've heard it. They're like, "Oh, I don't wanna be following another frag bro," whatever frag bro means, right? Like, they come up with that whole thing, but I think you're educating and you're doing it in such a way that I think people, they do take it serious, and I think that's a good thing. So, anyway, I just kudos to you. I think that it's awesome that you are trying something a little bit different because it is different than everybody out there.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And it's going to eventually evolve. I actually have other channels called Hey That's Hectic or That Is Hectic, where it's of similar, kind of theme, but it's more motivational and kind of awareness. So heads up, there's going to be a bit of a hybrid into this channel, corporation of those kind of things.
Oh, that's exciting. I love that. I love that, and I love hearing that you're gonna be doing some other things because that's the other thing I've loved about this whole fragrance journey. Like, I've met so many cool people from so many different walks of life. I know people that work in construction. I know people that work in, like me, in higher education. I know we have a physician that works with us that's a ER doctor, that's in a lot of these lives. We have I mean, it just goes on and on and on, and I think that's one of the things I do love is when and that's why I love this format is because we can actually have a conversation with people and talk to them a little bit more. It's not just about the notes or the fragrances. And I know that my kind of content's probably not made for the world of TikTok. I love the engagement. That's why I like doing it here. But I know that the short form, quick hits, like that's what's rewarded by the algorithm. And that's not really what we do here. But like, I feel like there's so much more to our stories that we have to talk about. And I love that you're kind of crossing over, as Paulie Sense would say. I don't know if he's still in here. You're crossing over into some other areas too. That's probably going to be great for your brand, but also I think it's good for people to realize that we have more to talk about than just fragrances.
Very much so.
Yeah, no kidding. So I'm really curious. I've may have been tipped off by this, but do you have any experiment or history with making perfumes yourself or learning perfumery by chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear there's a story
Uh,
there that you may want to tell. You may want to talk about a little bit.
it's a obviously being as passionate as I am about perfumery, um, there was an opportunity where I was able to, you know, see mixing and what have you happen in real life. And it just unlocked so many things. I started smelling raw materials with a perfumer, and it kind of made me understand things on somewhat of like a material level, dihydromercenol. It's in Percival, it's in Platinum Egoist, it's everywhere. And the full intention behind delving into that side of things was to have a better understanding of fragrance itself because I'm unscripted. I don't do my content scripted. It's all, off the rip. So having a bit of like a backbone understanding of fragrance materials and composition was going to help. But something happened and I'm starting to, dabble a little bit here and there. I have somewhat of a hybrid creation of a fragrance and a few more things in the works that I won't delve into just yet, but a lot of exciting things happening.
Well, I love hearing that because I also love seeing that journey too. That's another thing I've experienced here on this platform is seeing how many fragrance content creators have then delved into their own, creative directing, or they have started to work with other indie perfumers and kind of come out with their own collaborations and lines. And it's fun to see the growth and kind of where that takes certain individuals and those who can do it really well. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's where you're headed. But we'll find out in the right time. But I would just say that that is awesome that you're exploring things and you continue to try new things. That's pretty exciting.
Hungry for that continual growth, that continual improvement. And with the end in mind of this fragrance journey is I wanted to be a voice of trust and I want to be a reputable figure in the fragrance industry, not specific to TikTok, but just in general. I'd love to speak long form. I currently do long form, but I'd love to talk about the new releases, how they are. I'd love to be that voice of trust and that reputable figure that a lot of people can rely on when it comes to fragrances because they're intimate, they're personal. And I feel like I'd be absolutely great to speak on behalf of that.
No, I think you're exactly right. So you and I got to talk some more because you've always got a home here, brother. We can even on YouTube or some other place we could do. Hey, you're never going to get me to stop talking about this stuff. So always welcome here to have those conversations. They're a lot of fun. So I'm kind of curious for you. So you've talked about kind of delving into the experience of trying to make your own perfume or kind of thinking it through those things we haven't really talked about your day job, and I don't know. I haven't really asked you what is your day job right now. What do you do? Other, what helps kind of fuel all this right now as you're continuing to build things?
I currently work, so I'm nearing on 10 years with the company. So I work for a global appliance company in the commercial sector, taking care of operational excellence.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I started as a container unloader, cleaner, unloader, worked my way up to head office within the 10 years. And I'm now quite comfortable with a operations position managing a lot of multi-residential buildings in Australia. And that's soon going to potentially delve to be international. So that's my day to day. So just managing,
Yeah,
a whole lot of move.
but you know how much of that how much of that kind of crosses over into what you're talking about, even from a fragrance perspective. I mean, people think that it's just as easy as, making a fragrance. I mean, anybody that's spent any time looking at ingredients list or looking at, you know, anything from making a perfume. It is managing chaos. I mean, it is not just, fill it and move on. I mean, the logistics alone of shipping and ingredients and what ingredients can be used in what parts of certain countries and which ones can't. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I think you're probably going to see a lot of transferable skills there if I had to guess.
I'd say so as well. My intention currently, not this year anyways, I don't intend to release a fragrance standalone this year. Still rather understand the fragrance composition to the point where I'd feel comfortable creating my own profile. But that's not to say I'm looking over at about 5 independent fragrances I have created. Doesn't mean to say that it won't, eventually make it out to market. But I have a question for you, Dean.
Oh,
If
please.
I were to ask you, what kind of fragrance would you expect me to make? What would you think it would be?
That's so interesting because what I've seen so far, I would be thinking more of the darker scents, right? I would be thinking something that's a little bit more oody and a little bit dark. But I'm now thinking that all of a sudden you're going to shock us and you're going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to come out with a freshie. You're going to come out with like a better version of Polo 67, just to completely just to completely throw us off here a little bit." But I would think more of a dark fragrance. Is probably where my head would have gone immediately when I think about some of the things I've seen you speak of. But I will tell you, the one thing that you shock me the most about, and that I love about you, and we haven't talked about this yet, is how much you layer and talk about layering. And I don't see a lot of people talking about that so much. So part of me's thinking, I don't know, you may have some kind of crazy hybrid that you're thinking up, a layering that you're working on to make something even better and more versatile.
I've done one hybrid in collaboration with a Australian perfumer called Jalu Fragrances, where it was a combination of 2 independent fragrances together. And it was very dark and mysterious. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it on here. It's very dark, leathery, dates, oud, raspberry, whiskey, very much to that point. Big love to working sense. I appreciate you too. And I very much am going to be going to the alternative of the heavy scents. It's going to be, a fragrance that is, seems heavy, but is actually a freshie.
Oh, I
Big
can't
love from Chewy.
I can't wait. I love that you're switching it up, and I love that. And Chewy, man, you're the best, dude. Thank you so much. You're so supportive, and yeah, you're one of the best. You know that. But we appreciate you taking time to be here because I know you're probably getting ready to do your own live here soon. But thank you for stopping in and stopping by this. So it's funny you bring that up because when I think about ingredients and I think about that, we're talking. What is an ingredient that fascinates you the most right now? I'm always curious asking people like that. Like, what note or kind of what piece of a fragrance are you just kind of like can't get enough of, or you're really just trying to figure out right now?
It would have to be the hydromercenol.
Yeah,
It's, yeah, it's blue. It's in everything. It's so noticeable now because I've identified it that it's a little bit basic of a material, but when you identify it in more complex fragrances and how they've, you know, given it that, you know, charismatic kind of energy, they've turned something like a blank piece of paper and folded it into origami would be the best way to kind of explain it. That's why it's my favorite because it's a beautiful canvas that can be taken in so many different directions and it's impressive to see the many variations of it.
Vic, you're in the chat. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to do a science of fragrance video on this, really breaking this compound down for us, and why it's so why it can do these magical things that Hectic is talking about. So that's your next science video there, Vic. I love it. So Hectic, I'm kind of curious. Kind of a little bit of a deeper personal question, but like, what has fragrance done for you personally?
What is it for me? What is fragrances?
Yeah, like what has fragrance done for you personally, do you think in your life? Like what has it done? Like what does it mean to you? And we haven't really talked much about why you got into fragrance and what drew you to it. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, culturally. So culturally, fragrance was always a big part. In the household, my family burning a lot of incense on Sundays, around Easter, a lot of oud. And it was always kind of in the family, with my Palestinian side of the family, perfumery was quite a big thing. They used to do their own oils, using a lot of tinctures, saffron, making their own oud, a lot of naturals back then. And it kind of came over when my family migrated to Australia. And I've actually got a video of this where I've done a video with my mother, giving her a fragrance on Mother's Day and talking about this fragrance. And this fragrance in particular is the original Al Karashi blend. And it, I got into this, and this fragrance in particular provided me with a huge level of comfort. It's a reassurance as well, especially this one here. It was the fragrance my mum used to wear before leaving to go do her second job. Single mother, and she used to work two jobs. Before she would leave, she would come in, and I would used to smell it. I'm like, Mum's going to work. I could smell it. She'd come into the room, it would stay. And, that's where it kind of grew and evolved. And mum would always catch me like smelling it, you know what I mean? So fragrance, started getting to that kind of category and realm for me where it was providing a lot of comfort and reassurance, almost like encapsulating you in a warm blanket. And then once you kind of realize, wow, this is providing me a lot of comfort and warmth and reassurance. But then there will be some other profiles like this one, as an example. This doesn't provide me comfort. This provides me, a lot of love. This is my partner's perfume. You know what I mean? And that's what it does for me. It's a, you know, reconciliation of emotions, from, so many different timelines brought into a singular bottle. And fragrances take me on the journey. That's what it does to remind me of who I was and who I've become.
Isn't it wild how that does that? I mean, I know that we talk about it and we know that scent is so powerful and we obviously know that just because we are fragrance enthusiasts and people who love this this beautiful thing, but it's still to this day it amazes me at how I can transform you quickly to any point in time in your life. And I think that's one of the things that I love and I'm trying to do a better job of like understanding like a perfect example of this, I've said this a couple times. It's been a while since I've talked about it, but I had my daughters pick out a fragrance for me that they both liked, and I'm starting to associate that with them, and when I wear it and kind of different times because I know that I'll think back to those times when I wore that fragrance on one of their special days that they had, right, and then I'll kind of connect that and relate that, and I think that is so cool that we have that the ability to be able to do that. And I agree with Vic, the reconciliation of emotions, that is really beautiful, and that's the reason why you have to talk more in the long format, my friend, because you have a beautiful way of describing these things, and you gotta do more of it for sure.
Thank you very much. And in regards to remembrance and association, every fragrance in front of me is intentionally placed. You know, and I intentionally put this on here for those who know the fragrances, will see it, and I'm sure will appreciate it. Each one of these ones in front of me, holds something very powerful and meaningful to me. And I hope, you guys see it and can love it as well.
Well, do you mind going through them a little bit? I mean, we have time if you'd like to go through, tell us a little bit about why you picked them.
Well, this one,
Yeah.
this is the Mother's fragrance, which then delved me into the flankers. This one is the latest one. Now, this one is Oud Precious by Olivier Cresp, and this is unbelievable. This is a fragrance that was gifted to me on my birthday on the 6th of May, by an incredible group of lads, the unhinged ones. We love you. Big shout outs. This one holds a lot of love. And another one, for instance, this was my first ever amouage that I picked up. And I remember smelling it and I was like, whoa, my first ever amouage that kind of started the journey. I picked this up from the place. It was a perfumery in Marrickville called Mimosas. And she actually kind of got me going on creating content. This one is Decision. This was the first brand new fragrance, amouage fragrance rather, that I bought, and I bought this with a recommendation from my good friend Unglazed Scents. This one, my partner hates perfume. I wouldn't say hates, she, you can imagine when Dylan's, doing a whole day of content, she'd walk into a whole mixture of different smells. But this one, I got for her for Valentine's Day, and that strong love and association, to which she bought me this fragrance for our first holiday away. And, when I smell this, it reminds me of the picnics that we went down to, on the Hunter Valley. Those are the kind of, memories that I hold with these things. And the last one I'll mention is, this is the fragrance that I picked up for my friend's wedding. Now, every time I spray this fragrance, it reminds me of good times and camaraderie.
I love that. And, that's something that we've talked about. Like, I've seen some people do this when they go on holiday, they go on vacation. They say, "Hey, I'm going to buy a scent every time I do that because I want to remember this vacation. I'm going to create these new scent memories with this time." So I love that. Seen a lot of people do that with weddings too. They look for that perfect wedding scent, something that they can really go back and remind them of that time. And I think that's a piece of it that I love. When you really think about that, and I love that you connect all the memories to those fragrances. It's beautiful. The one that you had for your partner, was that Pacific Rock Moss? I couldn't tell which one that was.
Yeah, Pacific Rock Moss, Goldfield and Banks, one of the best salty aquatic fragrances.
Yeah, it is. I wish it lasted a little bit longer, but that's me being picky. So, but other than that, I still love it. I love it. It's a great fragrance. I have it as well. That's a good one for sure. So I'm kind of curious. You talked about how fragrances helped you build confidence in your life too, in different friendships and even the community that you've talked about in your life. How has that always been that case, or has that been something that you've kind of worked up to? I'm always curious about how people, have used that to help change their confidence, but also to build friendships. Can you talk about that at
It's
all?
very,
About how that's happened?
yeah, it's very much so. It's very similar to the statement I made about, me being in Australia and, the distances. The power of the fragrance bringing people together is unbelievable. The friendships that I've built and bonded, over fragrances is just unbelievable. But I guarantee you this, if it wasn't fragrances, it'd be something else. And when we're talking about the confidence, I wasn't always the most confident person, you know, quite a, tough upbringing, but it is what it is. I used to be, quite alternative and used to not have as much confidence, missing identity issue until I found who I really was. And when it comes to confidence in the fragrances, it doesn't provide me confidence because that starts at the source. If anything, it's that icing on the cake and the accent to the person you already are. So eventually, when I started to build confidence and I started to associate with the right people, that confidence grew because I was aware of who I was. And then accompanying that with the fragrance was just a beautiful accent. It was that icing on the cake. So it can be a $20 fragrance or a $600 fragrance. Either way, I'm going to shine because of that confidence.
I love that. And the thing I love the most about that, I mean, I'm going to tell you, is there's so many people that need to hear that. There's so many people that are searching for this magical solution that is going to, make them better, whatever it is. But how much of that comes from within and having that belief and that confidence in yourself. And it's so funny to hear you talk about lacking confidence too, because when I hear your voice, and then again, I know that we're all on camera, we're all like on this online, who we really are sometimes can get lost in some of these things. But I can tell just from talking to you, I can't even imagine the you before now. And I know that he's in there, and I know that we all have that person, right, that we used to be. But just hearing you describe it, it's hard for me to think about that shy, non-confident, hectic that was out there in the world before now.
And if he wasn't there, I wouldn't be who I am, right? And it's a good moment of reflection. Where you've come from to where you are now. Everyone's got it within themselves. Sometimes you just need to shine the light in the right corner. That's all it is. And sometimes fragrances can be that entryway where you might not have that confidence right at the start. Finding the right fragrance that does make your, chin up and your back straight might unlock that inner confidence within.
Well said. Leah, good to see you. Glad you're here too. Speaking of another beautiful soul, another content creator, it's so good to see you in here as well. I'm kind of curious, Hectic. What kind of, and this is, I know this is an unfair, crazy question because none of us sit here around and say, oh, what's my legacy going to be? But when you think about what kind of legacy that you want to kind of leave behind with the content you're creating, I believe we all put things out into the world, right? You're creating more than you're consuming, right? Like you're putting things out there in the world. So what is that? What is that legacy? What do you hope it does? What do you want it to be?
I want it to be a I wanted to be a legacy. I never thought that far ahead, but ultimately, a platform and messaging, re- to my point, regardless of fragrance, of just being considerate and passionate to yourself and the ones around you. You know, the passion of these hobbies and how it makes us feel. I like to, that's what I was mentioning in my previous pages, hey, that's hectic, what have you. They talk about self love, self care. And I want to incorporate that into Smells Hectic and then leave a legacy that you are enough and you are important and you should be treating yourself with as much love as you are your fragrances. That's ultimately the kind of legacy and messaging I want to leave behind.
I love that, and the reason why I love that is because one of the things I found in the fragrance community, I don't know if the same is true in Australia or not, but and again, this is life. It's not just for the fragrance community, but I've seen a lot of people that are recovering, right? Recovering from broken lives, recovering from maybe they had some addiction issues, maybe they struggle with confidence. I've seen a lot of weight loss journeys on here too, where people have used fragrance to maybe go through a weight loss journey and it kind of gave them more confidence. But again, it goes back to life, right? Like we're all a work in progress, right? And so that's one of the things that I love about this space is that I think that the love that we have for fragrance and that self journey to be a better individual, I think we all kind of come together in this community that way. And I think we're all open, at least the ones I've experienced on here have been very open to talking about their struggles there. And I think that is a beautiful another piece of this as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's so beautiful when these things bring people together. Like I mentioned, the international friendships that are built and bonded is just unbelievable. So there's the perfume I was talking about, Vital Perfumes. You got to check him out. He is one of the most knowledgeable, tasteful, and incredible people that I've ever met. Seriously, one of the best. And again, I never would have met, Corey the perfumer if I didn't you know, explore that fragrance store if I didn't want to venture out on curiosity. And it's crazy. It can just bring us all together. Big love to you guys in the chat. I see all your comments. Big love straight back to you guys.
I love it. And that and guys, thank you so much for being so active in the chat. I really appreciate it. It's so good to see the support too. And what's so funny is that that's the thing I love about this whole fragrance community too. The support when you get in the right community and you get the right people that you become friends with, I mean, they are with you and they're gonna take their time on a Wednesday night at, almost 11 o'clock at night, and they're not going anywhere because they want to support Hectic because he's a great guy and he tells the truth and he's beautiful about this. And that's what I love too. And I know Vic, I know it's killing me because I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like, hey, I promised him I would only keep him for an hour because he does have a day job, and I want to make sure he keeps his day job. But hey, this doesn't have to be the last time we talk. I can promise you that we can continue this conversation. But I do have a couple rapid fire fun questions because again, apparently they want you to be more fun, Hectic. So we got to be
Yeah.
we got to have some fun questions here. All right. So, what's one fragrance you're never going to get tired of ever? No way you're ever getting tired of
Oh,
it.
Sultani by Ravi Nude.
Okay, that's a good one. Best fragrance for the Sydney summers.
Sydney Summers. Oh, that's a great one. And it'd probably be Isla Verde by Roja, or I'm going to say Sultani again.
Yeah, I was like, it's so funny. The chat's got you pinned, man. Satani. They're like, it's just the answer. Satani is what the answer is. So that's.
Well,
Did you know he's tall too? I kind of had a feeling he was pretty tall just from where he is in the chair. I feel like he's pretty tall. So I think I got that point. Overrated fragrance, one that gets too much hype.
oh, that's in my collection or in general?
In general.
In general, that gets too much hype. Oh, I'm going to get blasted for saying this. Aventus.
Yeah. This oh, yeah. This is why this is why we love FragTalk Live. It's all about the truth here, right? And so all you Aventus hate lovers in the chat, yeah, Paulie, I was waiting. Paulie's out. He's gone. He's gone. Eli, yeah, Eli's gonna come after you for that for sure, for sure. No, all right, let's see one more here. So I do have a question. So designer or niche and kind of the ultra niche, kind of going down those paths. Like, is it been the same journey for you where you started with designers and that kind of you're kind of moving into the niche and kind of you're moving into these ultra niche kind of perfumers, or where are you at in that journey?
Currently, I'm open to all of it, absolutely all of it. But I did start traditionally with more designer and niche. A lot of like, for instance, a lot of these ones, my mom would go overseas and bring back a lot of Middle Eastern perfumes, Al Majad Oud from Saudi Arabia, etc. So you can class them as niche, technically. So a large majority of it was starting off with the designers in the niche. And now I'm just open to absolutely everything. I won't turn the fragrance away. I'm open-minded like that because, to my point, they may have a lot more to offer than you might think.
Yeah, I love that. Loud projection, or are you more of like the intimate scent bubble kind of guy?
It depends what day you ask me. And it really, really depends on, it's situational.
It is,
I
yeah.
heard a saying goes, fragrance is personal. If you let someone into your scent bubble, they will get to smell you. So smell good, not loud. And that stuck with me. I was like, wow, that speaks volumes. So I'm going to have to say, yeah, close scent bubble because it's more personal.
Yeah, I like that. I think that is pretty true. So are you kind of one of these guys? Well, no, I guess let me go this way. What's one fragrance you regret buying that you're like, hey, I had to get rid of that thing pretty quick, or maybe you still have it and you regret it.
No, I got rid of it. I got rid of it. Probably I did love it at the start, but Faniel Flames by Nishane.
Oh,
I did love that.
interesting.
It got very medicinal. It it started to get to the point that it was unwearable. I tried layering and I tried giving it many opportunities, but had to let it go.
I understand. Hey, we all got that. And then I guess finally, the most complimented fragrance that you own. I'm assuming it's the one we've been talking about the most.
To be honest with you, my most complimented is actually Silky Woods Elixir by Goldfield and Banks.
What? Look at this. You're gonna think I did this on purpose, but like it's not the elixir. It's the original Silky Woods, but it's right here. Love that fragrance.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that fragrance, or it might just be situational where I'm going, but that one seems to be getting me the most compliments.
Ah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. So what is next for you, my friend? Where are you heading? What's next? You talked a little bit about some things. I know you don't want to get into all the details, but what's next? And number two, how can people support you? How can this community continue to support you and make sure that you continue to grow and continue to use this platform to help you?
Well, what's next will be the long form content. So, currently doing long form on YouTube and venturing with it on TikTok. That'll continue to grow. And there will be an incorporation of lifestyle, lifestyle, motivation, and just, emotional awareness. So, that'll be incorporated into the page. That's what's next, long form and more professionalism. Um, and how people can help is just continually doing what they're doing and just maintain the support that we have internationally with the fragrance community. It really does make its way across the waters, from wherever you are in the world. As simple as a like will mean the world. So just keep doing you, keep taking care of yourself. And that's the best way you can support me is by supporting you.
Ah, I love that, man. I mean, it's so beautiful with the way that you talk about it and kind of the where you're going with everything. So I do have a question. What do you have a wish list of fragrances that because you have 40 of them? I'm like, do you have a wish list that you curate, or how do you handle that, my friend?
I do. I do have a wish list, but it's quite small because I'm grateful to say that I've got a lot of the fragrances in my collection that I've wanted, and that's now opened the door for, you know, unheard of fragrances. I get to delve into a whole lot more. But on my wish list would be Oud Cadenza, Jacob's Right, Bracken Men by Amouage, as well as the original Memoir Man. So those are on my wish list right now.
Bracken Man's a beautiful scent. So I've got a version of it that an independent perfumer here in the United States has made, Polysniferous. I don't know if you've heard of that brand or not. Obviously, Jamie and Noah. I'm sorry.
The Old Spice combo, with Brackish Man. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I really enjoyed it. It's a great fragrance, and it's been fun to kind of see that. Well, I'm going to give you the final word on this interview. So, anything else you'd like to go in? Because, like I said, I promised I'd get you back to work on time. We have a lot of people we could talk, and believe me, brother, we're going to be doing this again because 1 hour with you is not enough. I've got a lot more. I've got like half my questions I have not got to. So, but I'm going to give you the last word. Anything else you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you to yourself, Dean of Sands, for the opportunity to be able to, speak with you. And for everyone that's in this chat, it does mean a lot. And I'll continually push this message to take care of yourself and the others around you. Fragrance community is small. Whatever beef there is, address it, settle it, and continue to enjoy the passion and love of the fragrances. Those would be my final words.
I tell you what, brother, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Chat, thank you so much for all your support, all the gifts. They're so kind of you guys to do that. We never take them for granted. It really means a lot that you guys would spend your time with us, and much less gift us. It really means the world. Make sure that you're following. That is the biggest thing you can do to help support us. Make sure you continue to follow, like our content, and continue to share out. And you know what? If there's some other new content creators out there that are doing great work, lift them up. I would say that would be my challenge for you of the week. Continue to lift people up, help them out. Let's get them on here for an interview. Let's talk to them. This community is big enough for all of us, and so make sure you're doing that. And then again, going back to just making sure that you're liking and sharing and all those fun things. Those are so helpful for us. And again, this will be up on YouTube tomorrow, so please come out and check it out and share it with another content creator that may need to be inspired. Because I can tell you what, I learned a lot from this interview, and I know that other creators out there could learn a thing or two as well. So you're pretty next level. I think that's a great way to sum that up there, JG Sense. Hectic is next level.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you at all. Dean, thank you for your time.
Hey, no problem, Hectic. We'll talk again soon. Guys, have a great evening. We'll see you soon. We'll be back on next week on Wednesday. We're here every week, 10 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
See you guys.